Hello, welcome to Paleo Greenbird. I'm Greenbird. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're doing awesome. If you're not, shut this video off, go take a walk, breathe in some fresh air, maybe see a critter or two, and come back when you're feeling better. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and find something to do with this point. So I have this preform that I made, pretty thin as it is. I could probably just corner notch this and call this a ridiculously oversized large point. But, you know, what would that do for us? Probably nothing other than maybe something to hang on the wall or put a magnet on. So let's turn this into a spear point. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this triangular shape and I'm going to sort of round it off on the bottom just to give us more of a spear point shape. I think to do that, I'm going to use... see here, I'm using copper today. Actually, you know what? Let's get crazy and let's use some antler. So, I think I am going to use my pad though. And I don't use antler a lot, so kind of taking a chance here, but something has been really kind of driving me to go more abo and less copper. I wish I had better tools, but I just don't. So I'm gonna have to deal with the tools that I have. It's a whole different thing using abo tools than using copper. I mean, obviously the fundamentals are the same, but copper is just so much more forgiving. You can do so much more with it. And this is obsidian, so it's crazy dirty and dusty. I can't stand... well, I shouldn't say I can't stand, but I don't prefer to use obsidian. But I have a lot of it around. So let's get rid of it. I do like obsidian. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to come across as not liking it. It's just, it's very dirty. It bites. You get it stuck in your clothes and in your shoes, and track it in the house. Everybody else gets it stuck in their feet as well. So, just trying to round off. This was very triangular in shape, and what I want to do is get it to be more sort of oval, kind of leaf-like shaped, which is what I'm doing. Let's see here. I don't know how thin we'll get this, but we'll do our best. If you really want to get things thin, you can, you should try indirect percussion. I'm going to try that. I was looking all over today for my Ishi stick, and it's kind of embarrassing, but I have misplaced my Ishi stick. I wanted to do a video on indirect percussion. I tried it once or twice, had not a lot of success. Ended up with bloody fingers and a big pile of gravel, but that was a long time ago. I want to try it again. I'm pretty sure I understand a little bit more now about knapping and would be able to probably have a greater degree of success if I was to try that now. This antler's actually working really good for me. I'm happy. But this is a really thin preform. I tried using this antler yesterday, and I demolished 4 preforms right in a row. They were thicker than this, and they were tougher stone. And basically what that told me is that I need a heavier billet, because what happens is, you know, when you have a lighter billet, you tend to smack harder. It's not always about how hard you hit the stone. That doesn't always equate to more kinetic force. I'll just shut up and nap. So, let's look for our high spots. This is already really thin. We're doing a lot of shaping. The base could use a little bit of thinning. And you can see the shape is not exactly desirable. So let's work on that. We may break out the hammerstone. I'm trying to make contact with the tip in my palm and the base and my index finger, and supporting with my middle finger, just because I don't want to break this. I'm already a little concerned because I'm using antler, which I'm not really super comfortable with. But, you know, it's like anything else in life. If you don't go outside your comfort zone, what's the point? Yeah, so I'm getting little flakes. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'm getting these tiny little flakes, which is pretty impressive because this, like I said, this preform is already pretty thin. So the fact that I'm still getting thinning flakes, knock on wood, I haven't cut myself yet. It's a nice day, so we'll probably have to deal with a lot of motorcycles. Right, keep the shape. Okay, shape's getting wonky, so let's do a little bit of that. Alright. Definitely getting covered in obsidian dust. Could be worse. Alright, so don't worry about the fact that we're all out of shape. That will fix itself as we start to correct. I'm worried about taking the flakes where they need to be taken. Anything that helps us. And if you've watched my videos before, you know I don't generally strive for super thin points because I don't always think that those are practical. But in this particular situation, because it's going to be a spear point, you know, if you look back at the old boys, this could be used for something like fishing. You know, the thinness might be a little bit more important than, you know, say you're ambushing and stabbing a buffalo or something like that, where you want more of a rigid point that's not going to break. Although I don't think you'd ever be fishing with an obsidian point. I could be wrong, but I would think if you're going to be stabbing a spear or an arrow into the water, where there are rocks and stuff like that, you're probably going to use a material that's a little bit stronger than obsidian. So we're starting to get a nice little shape. Just trying to thin out this base a little bit without getting an end shock and smashing the whole thing to pieces. We are going to notch this, so let's see how that sticks right into your hand. Obsidian is the sharpest, I believe, it's the sharpest thing in the world. It's definitely way sharper than a razor blade. Without a doubt, I mean, that's indisputable. Alright, so we've got our basic shape here, but this side's a little bit off compared to the side here. Right, so let's keep shaping. And we're going to bring the grinder into the picture here pretty soon, because the grinder will help correct a lot of that. But I want to make sure that we have our basic shape before we rely on the grinder, because the grinder is only going to get off all that loose stuff that doesn't belong there. Really cool. Alright, this is coming along nice. I'm pretty happy about this. Let's grind. So I mentioned earlier in the video that I was hoping to do some indirect percussion. And there are a lot of really good videos out there that cover indirect percussion. You've got Jet Crafty. I think Freeze Cracked also does indirect percussion. There are probably a lot of others, but I encourage you, if you're a beginner, because I am a huge believer that it is, I don't know how to put it, it's, there's a lot of value if you're a beginner by learning from another beginner who's experiencing the same issues as you. And there's an individual that I think you should look up who's not a beginner, but maybe at that same point as you. And that's David Tenbears. Dave Tenbears, I think it is. Yeah, not David, I'm sorry, Dave Tenbears. He has a really cool page where he does a lot of indirect percussion. His setup is a lot different than what you might see. So check him out if you get a chance. I like watching his videos. Definitely inspired me to try giving indirect percussion another shot. I tried it once when I first started napping, and boy, I didn't have a good time, that's for sure. But so I don't want to hit too aggressively because I don't want to break that tip off, especially since I'm using antler. One thing I've noticed with antler is that it seems like, to me, there's less moving inward when you're hitting and more downward strikes. So maybe you can post in the comments and let me know if that's just me or if that's normal. I got a little bit of a nub right here, but I'm just going to wait. I'm going to take that off with pressure. I don't want to take a chance on breaking this. I've gone to a lot of work to make this. Something about working with antler that just makes you feel really good. Just, you know, it's natural. You know that whatever you're doing, the old boys would have done too. Well, they probably would have done it a lot better. But, you know what I'm saying. So I'm going to try and shape just a little bit using percussion. Being really careful. I don't want to break this. You can see I'm supporting the tip, I'm supporting the base. This is when that, you know, that paranoia kind of pays off. So I can see, if you look at this, this side's a little bit straighter than this side. So I'm not going to worry about that nub right there. Like I said, I'm going to take that off with pressure. And I could probably actually just clean this whole thing up with pressure. Maybe that's what I should do. So let's do that. Let's start by grinding. And we're gonna get a nice spear point here. Move the camera back a little bit. I think that's a little too close. I'm still experimenting with the camera, so I apologize. My videos are less than appealing. Sometimes I forget to look at the camera and see what everyone else is seeing. I just get caught up in my own thing. I started this channel just to basically document the things that I do. It's evolved a little bit from that. I'm going to try and round off this corner here because, as you can see, well, actually, maybe I'll straighten that corner. Let's just get right to pressure. And there's my leather. So I'll start by trying to take off that nub. I may have to use my hand pad. In fact, I think I'm going to. I know it's a little bit less than Abo, but I have to believe that the old boys probably made some sort of a hand pad too. There we go. Trying to get off all those boogers. There we go. This is working nicely. Oh yeah, I'm sure they must have made hand pads. Why wouldn't they? So, just working this edge. Trying to get everything in line. It's already pretty thin, but I'm just getting some basic shaping and making sure the center line is good throughout the whole thing. I mean, that's important, especially if you're going to hunt with these points, which I don't, but if you're going to, that center line is really important.
Hey, did you forget something?
No. Oh yeah, thank you.
Dad?
Yeah?
You know what? The oven is grubby. Can I clean it?
Wait till I get inside, not right this second.
Oh, hey guys. I know you can't see me.
I mean, you don't have your glasses on. Get inside.
I'm
and I don't want you to step on stuff. Get inside, please.
I'm telling them to leave a like and subscribe. Just so you know, guys.
Right. Can you get inside,
like,
please? You don't have shoes on.
Subscribe. Hit the notification bell. And don't forget to watch every one of my videos and that family time video on Billy Greenberg's channel. I watched it today and it made me cry. But really though, it did. Alright guys, leave a like on my channel and
Alright. Kind of a deep dive right there, so I'm trying to correct that. See how it went in. That might be an issue, but we'll see. had lots of width to start with this, so I mean that's a good thing because at least we have a little bit of forgiveness there as far as, you know, if we take a flake that goes a little deep or isn't exactly where we wanted it. I mean, we are knapping with antler, so you can't expect to get that same perfection that you get with copper. Although the old boys did produce some really good stuff. So you just got a spot that kind of stalled, so I'm going to skip it and go down a little bit below it, which almost does the same effect as isolating it. So this is where it stalled. I was chipping here, it stalled here, so I moved down over here, took a flake, which gave me kind of like a little nipple type effect on that one spot that stalled. Still being stubborn though. There we go. I should probably grind again, I guess. Yeah. Feel like I should grind. There we go. But it's a stubborn spot, isn't it? There we go. So we're making some good progress on this. But I think we're going to stop and do some grinding here shortly. It's a great thing about antler. That's one of the things I really like about antler, even though I don't have a lot of experience with it, is it's just got a lot of grip. You can sort of get away with not grinding as much as you normally would. But this spot here where it dove in deep, that's affecting the way that the point looks. I may lose a little bit off the tip because of that. We'll have to wait and see. So let's try and shape that up right now and see what we're going to have to do. Just flipping it over because you don't want to work one side too much, or you'll end up with exactly what I just showed you, where one side is kind of dipped in. I mean, that wasn't the cause of this particular situation, but the effects are the same. Just trying to grab as much as I can on that surface and just plucking it off. Yeah, still just doesn't look right. I don't know if we'll be able to save this or not. We might have to redo that tip. Oh, I don't know. I think we just did it. Look at that. See that? Now we just have to work on that edge a little bit. I think we might have done it. All right. Hooray, antler. Come back and look at that tip a second time, because sometimes you'd be surprised. You look at it, you think it's good, your mind wants to say it's good, and then when you come back to it later, you're like, what was I thinking? So always come back, adjust that tip. So I mentioned earlier about checking out Ten Bear's page, Dave Ten Bear, and he said something on his page, on one of his videos that I recently watched that really kind of struck home with me. You know, it talked about, you know, depression and how, you know, nature and flint knapping and things like that can, you know, sort of be therapeutic and help that. And you know, he's so right. And it's not because, you know, I'm a huge flint knapping enthusiast, which I am. That's not why I'm saying it, but there's something about flint knapping that forces you to hyper focus. And you focus on, you know, especially once you start to get the hang of it, you focus on what's right in front of you and how to achieve the results you want and coax out of the stone, you know, what you want it to be. And I think that helps with a lot of things. I think that helps with, you know, ADD. Definitely helps with depression because you're, you know, it changes your focus. You're focusing on something other than what's going on in your life or what your emotions are like. So, without sounding real corny or strange, I just want to reiterate what Ten Bear said. You know, if you're struggling with depression, and depression comes in a lot of different forms. Depression doesn't mean you wake up and you want to kill yourself or anything like that. Sometimes depression is, you know, analysis paralysis. Maybe you have a hard time focusing in your life. Maybe you don't really know for sure if you're happy or not. And it doesn't always mean it's a, you know, requires a clinical cure either. I'm not trying to, you know, say that everybody who has depression should be, you know, on watch or anything like that. I'm just saying that depression is so underdiagnosed and underrecognized that, you know, it affects a lot of us. And something that allows you to hyper-focus, like flint knapping or anything in nature, allows you to, you know, really immerse yourself in that moment and not think about, either not think about the things that are upsetting or not be stuck in that feeling of, you know, being paralyzed. So anyway, that's enough about that. I'm not going to get all into that, but I'm just saying that, you know, this is one of those things that, you know, if you suffer from any type of depression or discomfort, sometimes this could be something that would help you. So give it a try. Alright, so I'm just trying to even this out. And you'd be surprised. Sometimes when you even it out, you make even more mistakes. So I'm going to look at this. I'll let you take a look at it. I'm going to look at this. I'm going to see where's the stone that doesn't want to be there or doesn't need to be there. So I've got a thick side over here, and sort of down here by the base. This tip is still a little weird, but I think as I start to thin this, we'll be able to fix that. So I'm not going to fixate on that right now. I'm going to worry about the rest of the stone. This antler's really doing good for me. Just going to keep taking up little pieces. I really like the way the antler grips. For all the disadvantages that, you know, antler comes with, its gripping power definitely is one of the positive things. we can finish this without breaking it. You can see down here at towards the base is what needs some shaping, so that's what I'm concentrating on now. The center line could use a little bit of adjusting as we get closer to the tip, so have to take off the appropriate side. I'm not really using my leg like I probably should. And it doesn't, I'm not going to force it. If it doesn't want to come off, I'm not going to force it because I don't want to break this. I'll come at it from a different angle. There we go. Get rid of it. You just want to make sure you don't go too deep because you will affect your symmetry. Alright, so look at this. We're starting to get a decent spear point. So we'll look at this and see what side needs a little bit of love. This side could use a little bit of love. I'm using this pressure flaker with the curved side pointing in. I guess I could use it the other way too. This way just seems to be a little bit more comfortable for me. Alright. Over here towards the tip. Any place I see there's the center line needs to be adjusted, that's where I'm going to... At this point, that's where I'm going to start to nap, because once the shaping is relatively complete, you want to make sure that there's no weird spots. Yeah, so I'm trying to reduce this side because I've got a little bit of a low edge here. I mean, it still pretty much lines up with the center line, but I don't like low edges. I like everything right nice in the middle. So that means if it's sloping down this way, it means I need to drive a flake inward. And it could be because I'm using this antler that I'm not used to. Maybe that's why I did that. Who knows? But it's never too late to fix it. That's exactly what we did. We fixed it. Awesome. So let's grind this. Really good grinds. Sometimes grinding actually helps you shape too, because some of the things that are left on there that look like they are sort of out of shape, they're just, you know, light pieces that don't want to be there anyway, and they end up disappearing as soon as you grind. So, what are we left with here? A little more touch up on this one side, just a little bit. Not a ton. Trying to keep this in a decent shape. Something really satisfying about working a piece of stone into a arrow point. It like accesses that hidden DNA. And the more you do it, the more you want to do it. Be a little bit addictive. I think that's because every time you do it, you're like, oh, you know what? Next time, I could do that way better. So it accesses that competitive side of your brain too. And as usually, this is going to probably be a super long video, so sorry if you don't like that. But if you don't, you've probably unsubscribed and don't watch my page anymore anyway. Alright, so this could use a little bit more sharpening, but I'm happy with the shape. Sort of happy with it. It's a little bit more reduction down here by the base. I'm not looking for it to be perfect, but I do know that when I haft this onto a stick or an arrow, a spear, whatever it is, it becomes... It's important that the symmetry is there. God, I'm getting this all over me. This is why I don't like working with obsidian. But it's alright. No one forced me to do it. Alright, that's a little bit better. Constantly flipping it over, looking at it, because for me, if I don't, I'll screw this thing up. This thing will be one-sided for sure. That's how you turn an arrow point into a knife blade. Alright, so I'm relatively happy with this. Enough to where I think we can stop. I know I've said that probably 10 times now. So there we go. There's our spear point. Now all we have to do is notch it. Side just won't cooperate. Okay, that's a little better. Flakes. Mess with it much more. This is it. Except for this high spot right here, I gotta take that off. So, apologize if this has been kind of a boring video. Sometimes that happens. So these edges are sharp. They're not, you know, razor sharp. And I'm not going to do that right now because this isn't a hunting point. And if I go to all the work of micro flaking and all that stuff, it's probably going to get, you know, damaged by clanking around on my case or people handling it or whatever the case is. So I'm going to leave this. Gotta get it everywhere. Leave this as it is. And now let's move on to notching. We'll notch this point. Maybe we'll finish a whole point in one video. Alright, so before I notch, I'm going to go ahead and grind everything real good. We're pretty thin now, so I'm not going to grind too hard. Just enough to get rid of everything that doesn't want to be there. Grind down, and I'm going to grind across. Same thing on this side. Let's get the base. A little bit more aggressive at the base. So this is going to be a really cool point. I'm pretty excited about this. Nice and thin. I mean, in my book, some people will make points thinner than this, but not me. So let's, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sharpen up my pressure flaker a little bit. Alright, doesn't have to be too sharp. Just want to make sure it grips. And I think, I don't know, what do you think? Let's give this side notches. I don't really think corner notches make sense for this kind of a point. We'll give it side notches, and then maybe we'll give it a base notch too. Let's just see what happens. I haven't notched with antler in a long time, so I hope I don't ruin this. Alright, here we go. Flip it over. Just try and take off little flakes. I'm not worried about going too deep at this point. I just want to make sure I get a good flake, because if I don't get a good feathered flake, it's going to stall. So that's what I want. I'm more concerned about that flake traveling and feathering off so that I can take the next one. It doesn't have to be super deep. Okay. I am going to automatically switch to the other side, even though that's a shallow notch. I don't want to take a chance on not being able to get something consistent. So let's go over to this side. And when I do this, I run my finger across the flake and I try and see, you know, what's the best spot where there's already, you know, a sort of a not platform, but a low spot that I can take. And that's what I want to take, something that lines up with that spot. This one here is a little bit higher, but it's a good spot to take. So I'm going to take, even though I'm going to take it high, maybe I'll angle it a little bit low to try and compensate for that. And we'll see what happens. Uh-oh. That doesn't look good. Hopefully I don't stall this out. There we go. Got it. It is a little high, so now that I've got that groove started, I'm going to work on the low side of it. And I could actually grind that, but sometimes that doesn't help. Sometimes that actually contributes to the stall because you lose that sharp edge. I'm using more force than I probably should need to, but hey. Okay, let's go back to the other side. Sliding a lot, so I'm really hoping I don't break this. Okay. Alright, we're doing alright. Go back to the other side. Just trying to clean up these notches. One of the things I've found is that it's good to take out the weak spots of the notches. Once you get done notching, sometimes there are, you know, that flat edge, that flat sharp edge that you're using as a platform to drive those notches. Sometimes it's good to just create your own stall, intentional stall. Just get rid of those edges, because they'll just cause you problems either later on when you're hafting or when you're shooting the point. You know, they could break. Let's clean this up a little bit. Base. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with this. I think we're going to call this done. So, really cool. We got this done with mostly Abo tools. I did use a hand pad, but it's nothing that the old boys couldn't have made. This tip does need a little bit of adjusting though. It does kind of flare to one side. So let's take care of that. Tried to fix that in the bottom part of the point, but I think the only way to fix that is going to be right at the tip. We might lose a little bit, we might not. Let's see. Yeah, that looks a little bit better already. Alright. So here we go. Here's our finish point. I'm pretty happy. It's some beautiful mahogany obsidian. We got our nice and thin. We got decent notches. It's good enough to haft. Got a pretty nasty hinge right there, but it doesn't affect the performance or integrity of the point. So we'll call this done. So thank you so much for watching, and please share, please subscribe, please like. Please have an awesome day. And until next time, this is Paleo Greenbird, and I am signing out.